Gotta get. Okay.
Oh, you, baby.
All right. What's going on, everybody? For Pick It and Flick It Podcast, I'm Sean Evans, and you're watching Pick It and Flick It Podcast, the show with hot questions and even hotter discussions. I'm Sean Evans, and I'm here with producer Vox.
Okay. On a real note, I fucking love Sean Evans.
I do too.
So hopefully, if the case ever came where he's like Googling Sean Evans and this pops up for some reason, don't take offense to that because we love you.
I hope he wouldn't. He seems like he would appreciate a good homage. That's what that was all about. I thought of this last night. I was thinking it would be so funny to start this with
I don't
the Hot Ones intro.
I don't disagree with you. I haven't caught up on a few Hot Ones. But
It's been a minute. I feel like
I need to catch up on some of them.
I need to do a binge.
He was doing like some guests that I just didn't really.
Well, I saw David Harbour was just on, which coincides with our incoming discussion.
What are we talking about today on the Pick It and Flick It podcast?
We're talking about 2020's Black Widow that came out in 2021 because there was a little bit of an oopsie in terms of the world last year.
Was it supposed to be in 2020?
Yeah.
When was it supposed to come out? Because it was supposed to come out before WandaVision, right?
Yeah, I think.
Oof.
I don't know. I know it had
Insert Minecraft noise.
It had several release dates, but not nearly as many as No Time to Die, which
is still not out.
Is never going to come out.
It's still not out because no one wants to pay $900 billion for that movie. Daniel Craig is good, but he's not that good.
I doubt that movie will be that good.
I haven't seen any of those, so I stopped watching Bond when what's his name got out of there, the mid-2000s Bond or early 2000s.
Pierce Brosnan.
Yes, yeah,
Oh.
Yeah. That was the last Bond movies that I watched.
He's a good guy.
He's all right.
Got a nice voice.
Black Widow. Oh God. Oh boy. Where do we even start with this?
Was it worth delaying it? For 2 years.
No. Okay, so I guess before we
initial thoughts.
Before we get to the they're just hating on this movie kind of portion of the show, which we know we're gonna get to, I want to just say, if you haven't listened to us, I am,
which is more than likely.
Yeah. But I am a Marvel shill. I fucking love Marvel. I'm there for it. I read all the comics. I watch all the movies. I'm breaking down shit. Everything I'm about to say is going to be what Luke would call a hot take because it's about to shatter your mind.
Here's the thing. I haven't looked at reviews or what the consensus is.
I haven't really either.
I don't know.
The only reviews that I saw was during the new TV spot where it pops all the reviews up on there.
So those are all paid.
Not even that. The highest review I saw on there was only a 4 out of 5.
That's what they usually do, yeah.
Oh, really?
As far as I know.
I feel like I saw when Spider-Man's TV spots were going out, it was 5 out of 5 everywhere.
Well, yeah, they obviously handpick the
Sure,
5
but
out of
if
5s,
the paid reviews are only giving you a 5 or a 4 out of 5, we might have an issue here.
Perhaps.
So, to go along, initial thoughts. I was excited for this movie.
I was too.
First Marvel movie we've seen in the theater in 2 years?
It's been a long time.
At least June of 2019.
What was the last one? Spider-Man?
Spider-Man.
Wow.
And it was June of 2019.
That feels like a lifetime ago, doesn't it?
I know.
That's crazy.
There's a lot happening in the world right now.
Well, not only that, but so this movie was 2020 from the go?
Yeah.
I think it was supposed 2019?
to be May, wasn't it?
That makes sense.
Because it was June of 2019 for Spider-Man, and then I think it was going to be May of 2020 for Black Widow.
Yeah,
I believe. Don't quote me,
correct.
but I think that's
I haven't looked at the dates, but
I'm exhausted thinking about this movie already, so I don't even care when the original date was coming out.
So first of all, I'd like to say I love Scarlett Johansson. I feel like that's a pretty universal consensus there.
I like Black Widow.
I think she's better than a lot of these fucking characters.
Yeah, not just because she's an OG, but because I don't know, she was just her character's more grounded than all the rest of them.
Well, she's also just a gal.
Yeah, she's just girl.
Right, she doesn't have a magic hammer or can shoot webs out of high-tech things.
His butthole or her butthole.
That's exactly how Spider-Man does it.
Yeah. I agree. I like her.
I feel like this movie was way too late.
What was the point of this movie? Can we start there at least?
Money.
Yeah, I guess.
Money.
I think, but if you're looking at it from the Marvel shill fan, I think it was supposed to be paying her justice. Like, her character needed some
Well, that's
justification.
absolutely,
on what was
because
happening.
we're even getting a Hawkeye show, which I never would have expected.
Right.
So,
But
it's
I'm not mad
definitely-
about that either.
No.
Kate Bishop is...
I love Haley Steinfeld.
Steinfeld is-
So, no complaints.
They're
on
really
that
doing...
end.
Let me just say this, too. They're really doing a nice job with who, like, the newcomers are going to be. Haley Steinfeld is fucking Kate Bishop replacing Hawkeye eventually. And then we have Florence Pugh, as we know from the end credits scene.
And we got Wyatt Russell coming in.
By
as,
the way, spoiler alert for all of the bullshit, because if you're watching a Black Widow review and
I
discussion...
guarantee you, if
and
they
haven't
made
seen
it
the
however
movie-
long we've been recording and haven't seen this movie, they would have dipped out by
You're
now.
right,
But,
you're right. But anyways.
I think this movie felt very early on in Marvel in terms of like story and
I
situation,
agree.
which makes sense because she's fucking dead.
Yeah, we knew she was
So-
going to die.
She been dead for a bit now. Everyone knows. Everyone's seen the scene where she jumps off the cliff there. But it's strange to me that there was all the
Hoopla!
many years ago about the first female-led Marvel vehicle. Right? Was everyone's favorite Captain Marvel, which I have almost completely forgotten.
Me
almost
too.
almost in its entirety.
We watched it again recently,
and you've already forgotten.
and I fell asleep.
Yeah. So, first of all, this should have been the first one, I think. I think Scarlett deserved that because she's been around. What was the first one? Iron Man 2
For what?
for her?
Oh,
Black Widow?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So, the fact that it took this fucking long is kind of a slap in the face to her, I would say.
Yeah.
And waiting this amount of time, subsiding all the hoopla with the Captain Marvel thing. Wow, this was a real letdown.
Here's the thing, too, and I don't disagree with you. This movie, who was the guy who quoted and said that this movie looks like a bad video game? He's from Blade. He's the one bad guy.
Oh, Steven Dorff.
Yeah, okay.
Everyone's favorite.
Yeah, so obviously he's a credible
Yeah,
person
you
to
sent me
listen to.
that like a few days before the movie came out, and I was like, when this guy's saying your movie sucks, we got a problem.
We are in trouble. Yeah.
Right.
So he's coming out saying that this movie looked like a bad video game, which, by the way, it does.
It does.
And on your point is this movie should have been the intro to the female lead of all the following Marvel movies, because quite frankly, Captain Marvel, they put a lot of money into that movie. They put a lot of time into that movie.
Yes.
It looks good.
It does.
I'm not a huge fan of the Samuel L. Jackson de-aging thing with the CGI.
But that you gotta take-
aside from that, the
Right.
rest of the movie looks good. It's
The
just the
movie-
story that fucking sucks.
The story sucks, the characters suck, the situations suck, but all of the visual elements generally look pretty good.
Right. In this movie,
And that's the thing, is Marvel movies have a very ugly look to most of them, if that makes sense.
yeah, there's like a filter.
like
that they're
Civil
putting on.
War looks like shit.
It's gritty.
It's gross.
Yeah.
It doesn't look very good. Like Guardians of the Galaxy obviously has a person behind the ideas,
and that's
so it
so
looks
out there
Right.
anyways. So they're like, just acid trip. That's what we want.
So-
Civil War, make sure it slaps some mud on there, and that's what we want to look like.
basically they just rubbed
Dirt
little
everywhere.
muck over the lens and just shot that boy. But this one was like trying to be both and wound up being neither. Like it was very
There was only 4 colors in the movie, Luke.
white, black, red, and black again.
No, it was like a brown. Like everything was like this weird brown color.
Yeah.
Like the plane, brown. The cells in the jail, brown. You know, white.
Yeah,
brown.
a lot of it kind of looked like a 70s sitcom set, didn't it? Like
Yeah.
the weird satellite that the Harvey Weinstein guy had.
Yeah,
in
but that was
space.
brown. You know
That's
what
I'm saying.
It was brown.
It was
Everything
brown.
fucking brown.
Now that you mention, I didn't even. I saw this movie last night, and
Yeah,
I've already kind of
4 fucking colors in the whole movie. I swear to God. Whatever. Aside from that whole thing, I was thinking, and I'm still stemming from like this should have been first kind of conversation. I was thinking last night after we got home, would this movie have been better if it actually came out before Civil War?
I doubt it. I don't think so, because this takes place in between Civil War and Infinity War, obviously. So first of all, there's a huge problem with prequels as a whole. Whenever you do a story that comes out after the story you already told, especially if it features the same characters, in your brain, you don't really care about anything
Yeah.
because we know Black Widow is going to be fine. We know she's got 3 more movies to be in after this. So in my head, well, obviously you're not going to fucking shoot Black Widow in the face and kill her off or whatever, but still, you got to have, like, stakes. You got to have something to care about, because otherwise your movie is hollow and sucks.
They tried doing that in 3 different locations in this movie. Can you name it? 3 different locations. The house?
The house, we'll get there. That's my favorite stuff of the movie.
Okay.
The house, the prison, I feel like, for a bit.
No.
Before it devolved into action schlock.
No, that's not something that you should care about.
I don't know. Explain to me the other 2 then.
Red Guardian.
Oh, okay. I thought you meant locations.
But it doesn't, locations too.
Okay.
Because that's all part of it.
Right.
And then the last but not least was that final battle and the savior of fucking Taskmaster, right? So those are the 3 portions that they're trying to, like, care about these things.
Oh, okay.
You know what I mean? Like, in the house, they're trying to bring all the family together.
Yeah.
They're being all nice.
This is probably Vin Diesel's favorite Marvel film.
Yeah,
Because it was
right.
all about family.
Yeah, absolutely. And then in the Red Guardian, is that his name? Am I saying that right? Red Guardian?
As far as I know.
Okay, good. I'm just hoping that I'm not saying that incorrectly.
Vodka Russian man.
Yeah, red-suited Captain Fat Boy. They're trying to get you to care about him because he's trying to do a redemption story with his kids, right? Because he was a piece of shit.
He was the de facto, I'm in hiding and I'm bored and I want to get back to what I like to do. Which
you know what he was? Honest to God. You know who he was?
Who was he?
Fucking Mr. Incredible.
Yes.
That's who he was.
Yes, this movie had a lot. Wow, now that you mention it, this movie did have a lot of
this is the
Incredibles vibe.
Oh, God, dude. I didn't even put that together until just now.
You're right. I
that
didn't
just
even
came off the top of my
the
head.
Slipping into the fat...
Oh, no.
The fat man slipping into the red suit many years after his glory
picking
days.
up the thing that was blocking the plane and getting it out of the way.
I didn't even think of that.
Yeah, dude.
Because I was thinking...
And then you got Mom, who's like...
So obviously I was bored for most of this movie. Yeah. I would say a good 85% I was bored. So I was doing what I do, which is thinking about how they could have made this better. Because
yeah, of course.
That's what nitpicking assholes are known to do.
If you're a movie reviewer, welcome to the club.
I'm not. I'm just some guy.
Yeah, we're just dudes.
And you know, I don't know anything.
No.
So I was thinking about it, and I was thinking, wouldn't have been a much better movie had we done a Logan-esque type story where it's the Red Guardian as the dad, they're very estranged, and the movie is Black Widow reconnecting with Red Guardian.
Yeah.
Because I liked Florence Pugh as Yevgeny or whatever her name was.
I did not like her in this movie.
Well, because she kept flip-flopping for me, because for 1 second she's making funny quips about how they ripped her fucking vagina muscles and organs out, and the next second they're saying how she's
the killer and the most...
Well, she's not only a deadly assassin, but she's having struggles with her identity, and everything she lived was a lie, and like, you can't do both.
But they still made her act like a little kid throughout most of the movie. She's killing people and stabbing things into her leg to take trackers out.
How did she know that was there?
I don't fucking know. But here's the thing, man, okay? You're making a character from the very beginning be like the innocent, I fell down, scraped my knee, owie, need mommy kind of person.
Yes.
And then you're trying to make her kill people, and then at the very end, you're making that owie, fell down, scraped my knee mommy kind of thing.
Well, because they established the first scene...
Pick a fucking path.
The scene in Ohio, which, of course, is science fiction because Ohio doesn't exist. Everyone knows that.
Duh.
But that was... I actually quite enjoyed that sequence up until the Nirvana song came on and I wanted to shoot myself.
Oh, yeah, that opening... Yeah, I don't fucking...
As soon as the credits ended, I was like, oh no, all the good stuff's over. And I was mostly right. But I was thinking, they establish Florence Pugh as the weaker sister, obviously. And obviously Scarlett Johansson is very protective of her young sister. That seems like the motif they're going for. But then they make her the same deadly assassin too. So I'm confused as to why they set that up like that.
Oh God, this is really gonna.
This one,
I'm starting to think now.
So
it's
the Marvel movies, if people don't know, because a lot of people don't, they just like to go watch the funny explosions and the big funny fat man makes jokes about posture or whatever the fuck.
Yeah.
And then they go home and
that was it.
And that's that. And they don't think about it for another second. But I'm thinking these movies are written, and I'm gonna put that in the biggest air quotes that you could put next to that word. Written by hundreds of people, I assume, in a boardroom. Okay.
Yeah.
And not only do they do that, so there's not a singular or a Coen Brothers-esque vision behind anything. There's not one or two people who have a story to tell. It's many, many people putting in ideas that they think would work and sell the most money and sell the most merch. And you understand, because that's what we do. And so I'm thinking about it like they have all these ideas that they're sprinkling in that could blossom into a good story that I would find myself caring about. And then they just 180 the whole thing and ruin everything for more explosions and whatever.
So 2 thoughts on that, because I'm on board. But the first one, I want to touch back on what you're saying about the intro, because Nirvana song plays, and is it just me, or was this like getting kind of like this really dark, like cryptid?
That was something else. It feels like the tones are really butting heads. Like they wanted to do. This movie reminded me a lot of Mission Impossible Fallout, which
I was just gonna say.
Have you seen that?
No, I don't care about Mission Impossible, but it seems like a Mission Impossible movie.
I love the Mission Impossible movies. The early ones aren't very good and aren't holding up very well, but it's very weird because it's one of those series where, like, the more it goes on, the more they start to get better.
Right.
Which is weird. Like, Mission Impossible Fallout is one of the greatest action movies of the 2010s, without a doubt. I'm not even fucking around.
Tom Cruise is shitting his pants right now because you said that.
Tom Cruise is a fucking maniac. He's a weirdo, cultist, maniac man in real life.
Yeah, right.
But that man commits to his movies.
Yeah, no doubt.
The stunts in Mission Impossible Fallout are breathtaking. And I'm not even saying
that the one he's on the side of the plane?
That's 5, I think.
Okay. Sorry.
So Fallout 6. And the stunts in that movie, and all of them, he does all of them himself.
Of course.
And it adds such, like, a layer of believability and, like, holy shit. Tom Cruise, this 5'7", $500 million worth A-list movie star, is hanging on a basket of dirty laundry on a helicopter, flying around like a fucking crazy person. And I watch that and I think, holy shit, this is great cinema right here. This is what you go to the movie theaters to see. The loud music, the great sound effects, him doing crazy stuff. And then you watch this and it looks like someone with no hands edited it together.
So you're touching on a lot of things.
I know. I really do that.
My brain's going now.
So to wrap it back around to the tone, you have a movie like that where it stays consistent the whole time. There is a looming threat. We've got to stop these people, and Tom Cruise is going to do whatever he needs to do to make it happen, okay? And it interweaves, is that?
Yep.
Interwoves with...
It's interwoven.
With the human conversations very well. Like, it's not deep, groundbreaking dialogue, but it still manages to get the plot to where it needs to,
right,
to where the big action set pieces are earned. This movie feels like it wanted to do a serious spy thriller, but still has to do the goofy Marvel stuff, and we got to have an action scene every 25 minutes or so that the fat idiots don't leave.
Right.
Which is very weird because Marvel's known for the action, and this action was honestly the worst I can think of for any of them.
So bad.
Right from the go.
Like, so bad.
The scene where G.I. Joe or whatever shoots her car, and it, like, rolls 50 times and is hanging off the bridge and, like, explodes.
Oh, yeah, that huge explosion.
And she just is fine.
Oh, okay, hold on. We gotta before we go to that, the first, like, action sequence that we get is in the beginning of the movie, which wasn't bad. car chase, plane chase, got it.
Mm-hmm.
And then we jump to the future where they're starting to introduce the other characters in the movie.
Yeah.
Now, Florence Pugh's character literally slices someone's gut open.
Yes.
Pulls, and then stabs her own leg and pulls shit out.
Not only that, but she stabs her, twists the knife, and then yanks it out. There is not a smidgen
So much S's.
of blood anywhere. There was more blood when she cut the tracker out of her leg than when this woman got gutted like Ghostface would have.
Yeah.
Which is, we'll get back to Ghostface.
You mentioned that when we were watching it, and I was like, oh, is that someone cutting?
We got
Oh, I don't know if you'll be able to hear that.
We got some ASMR going on of a weed whacker.
Weed whacker or a blower or something.
Weed whacker would have been a better name for Taskmaster in this fucking movie.
The only time that there was blood after that scene is after she had the victim had been laying on the ground, and there was a little bit of pool next to her body. Because I was looking after you started pointing that out. Mm-hmm. And we're gonna jump way forward to another portion that this happened. Is when Black Widow's being punched in the face repeatedly by a bad guy.
Repeated. She gets fucking rocked.
And
at
the only
several
thing
points.
that happens is her nostril gets a little blood in it.
Well, no, that was because remember he slams her face on the fucking table and like breaks her nose.
No, she slammed her own face on the table because she wanted to make sure that she couldn't breathe.
There's so many nose slammings in this
but regardless,
film.
He punches her in the face 3-4 times.
Yeah.
No blood.
Not a bloody nose, not a bruise, not a cut, not a scratch.
I'm a little concerned for that. Is it because they're trying to make it Disney Plus
because here's
here's
the thing. When what's his name? John Walker in Winter Soldier fucking decapitates a guy with
the shield.
There was more blood on that then.
Yeah, the shield was coated in blood.
So here's my thing. You can put more blood and gore in a Disney Plus television series that any old kid could stumble upon with a remote control, but not the big tentpole superhero thing that you put out in cinemas for everyone to go see. That's weird.
And speaking of Disney Plus, would this have been a better Disney Plus show than a movie?
No.
I think it would have been.
That was like the first thing you asked me when the movie stopped. And I wouldn't even say ended. It just stopped.
Yeah.
Because whatever. And I was thinking about it, and I just feel like the story from the go is just so fucking flawed that I don't think there's any way this could have been salvaged in its state.
Well, like you had mentioned earlier, is there are like parts where they're like kind of breadcrumbing us to where they want to go with the story, right? And I wanted to say, I don't think that there was a justifiable start, middle, climax, finish in this movie.
Yes.
It was just all one strain of like, this is what's happening. It's like you're pulling Laffy Taffy apart and seeing how far it can go because it had one conjunction idea and then just yanking it to see how far you can pull it, right?
That's a great way to put it.
So aside from that, if they would have broken this down into 8 episodes in a Disney Plus series, we could have had the intro, which was a half hour or so, right? Mm-hmm. We could have had that whole intro, and then it ends with them landing in Cuba and being, hauled off.
I would have rather seen...
Episode ends, 25 minutes, roll credits, done. Then the next episode, it's 25 or 21 years later, and she's being chased around by Thunderbolt Ross and fucking trying to get their shit together.
Who's in what, 2 scenes?
Yeah, but he's a rapist, so no one
That's
wants him around,
apparently William Hurt's a big rapist, and so they're going to try to get him out of here.
Gotta get him going.
But here's my thing, is the prison escape felt like a climax of a movie. That felt like the finishing action sequence.
Right.
So,
but can you imagine that entire portion of that movie just as an episodic adventure, and it ends with them talking in the plane and then walking down to see Mama? And
I did not want this to be any longer than it already was.
I would just say that I would have been more comfortable watching this as an 8-episode breakdown of a 2.5-hour movie, because it had no business being 2.5 hours. And it has really no business being a movie that just made $60 million on streaming and $80 million on opening in theaters. I'm
glad the Marvel movies are going to see success, because I want them to get weird. I want them to get experimental. And it seems like that's where they're seeming to go with Shang-Chi and Eternals. Like, who the fuck knows what that is? I have never my life heard of those things.
Yeah.
And I'm trying my best to look forward to these things, and I watch this, and it's the most cookie cutter formulaic fucking just literally, like you said, it's like candy. It's like this movie was 2.5 hours of cotton candy, and it never stops.
Melts away.
And the minute it starts to get interesting, which is what I wanted to talk about, was the only parts of this movie I really found myself like fully engaged in was David Harbour and Florence Pugh when they were having conversations, and even like aside from the dumb jokes, I liked the scene around the dinner table where they're reminiscing. Like, this movie seemed like it should have been just getting the gang back together, getting everyone back after the family is broken up, and it seemed like that should have been the movie, but then the mom was a double agent who was in on it with Harvey Weinstein or whatever, and I'm just, my fucking head is spinning trying to figure this out. And then at the end of the day, this is supposed to be a Black Widow movie, and I didn't give a fuck about. She was the least interesting one in the whole movie.
Two things then. Number one, I'm still hooked on this Disney Plus series.
You really want this to be a series?
Yeah, but here's why. Think about all of the scenes and breakdowns that we got with WandaVision. Okay, that is literally, this is the cookie cutter of WandaVision. We got the table scene where they're all sitting around a table. We got like the putting pieces together and making sure that Vision can, breaking guy out of jail. And in this one, it's more like getting Vision and kids superpowers. There's like some parallel that I'm trying to see here that I feel like it's identical. I don't know. I just feel like these movies or movie and TV shows just like.
I mean, honestly, I would have rather that switched then and just had WandaVision. Obviously, the TV element is...
Yeah, I get that, yeah.
So they couldn't really do that as a movie, but, like, I don't know. This just really slogged.
Yeah, it was a mess.
This was just a big indifference. Like, the whole movie, that's how I felt. I was just so indifferent on everything that was happening, and then I watched the terrible editing that looks like Taken 3, where there's 14 shots of Liam Neeson climbing over a fence, and you can't see anything that's going on.
There was one other thing I wanted to say, but I lost it. But I wanted to say, too, that this Black Widow gets tossed around in this movie more than Kate Beckinsale does in Van Helsing. Like,
yes.
I don't know how recently you've seen Van Helsing, but she gets tossed around like a rag doll. And this chick...
Black Widow has rubber bones in this movie.
Yeah, but she jumps off a cliff and dies in the Soul Stone.
I guarantee, I'm sure people are already cooking this up, doing like a breakdown of the two scenes of when she falls and like it literally, you know what it reminded me of was Spider-Man 2. You remember when he falls and he's like, my back,
yeah,
which honestly, the guy with superhero powers, the guy with more abilities than 99% of these Avengers was more harmed by the same distance of falling than Black Widow was, and she still got to do the stupid superhero pose.
Dude, I totally
you know what I mean?
About that scene.
My back.
That is so fucking
If someone
funny.
doesn't pull that comparison, they're out of their mind.
That's Toby, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
That was the same fucking scene, except the human woman with like 2 inches of body padding managed to land after slamming into fucking light fixtures and AC units and vents and whatever the fuck else on the way down and was fine. And the movie just proceeds as if it didn't matter at all.
That is really funny. God, I'm pissed because there's one other thing that I wanted to bring up, and I know we're kind of bouncing around everywhere, and I just can't remember what it was.
I feel like if anyone was actually like intently listening to this, they would have like a whiteboard out and trying to like piece everything that are in our fucking chaos.
However many times we say something like those TikToks that do that. I don't know. There's fuck.
Do you want to talk about Taskmaster?
No, not really.
So I had one theory about this film that I thought they were gonna do. So I don't know what Taskmaster is. Everything I know is what you've told me.
You want the Cliff Note versions here?
Sure. Break down
Taskmaster is a
me.
guy or a person. I can't say guy, but is a person who can watch things. This is what I wanted to say. I'm glad you brought this up. I got it now. I got it. It's a guy or person that has the ability that's called copycat.
He's a mimic.
He's a mimic,
Yeah.
And they can watch something and immediately analyze
Replicate
and
it.
understand and then replicate it and do
Right.
the same thing. So that's why in the one fight scene where they were fucking head-to-head for a minute, they both get up at the same time and land in the
he's
same
got the-
pose and everything,
Yeah.
right? And so what I wanted to say...
I say he because you know for a fact the guy in that suit was a guy. The stunt man.
Yeah, the stunt man, yeah.
Okay, so continue.
The thing that I wanted to say was there was a lot of... So we went with a big group of people
Mm-hmm.
like we usually do now. And there was one person who has never seen a Marvel movie ever in that theater.
Mm-hmm.
And she just wanted to come because everyone was going to see a movie and blah, blah, blah.
The theater experience.
And so pretty much what I heard the comment of her saying was like, I don't know what's happening because she doesn't know any of these characters who have had a literal decade to be established.
I've seen all the movies and I didn't know what was happening.
Right. But the big thing that would have been a huge slap in the face to her, and I don't even want to sit down and try to explain it to her because she won't care, but
It's too much.
there was so many, like, first scene where they fight, stomps on the shield, grabs it in the air, throws it like a frisbee. That's fucking Captain America.
Yeah.
Lands in a weird superhero pose. That's fucking Spider-Man. The one other fight scene where she, shoots her claws out and does the across the fucking chest
That's
thing.
Black
That's
Panther.
Black Panther. There was
He's
so many
got
like
the bow and arrow like Hawkeye. On and on. Yes.
Yeah. So there was a whole bunch of like, remember this? Smack. Remember this? Smack. Throughout the entire movie with a villain who sucked so bad, who's a decent at best comic book villain.
Okay, so here was my theory I had. I was thinking about it, and I was thinking this was going to be very woman-centric like Captain Marvel was, which thankfully it didn't
really
feel as much as I thought.
I think they're getting better with that.
Well, it's
You
cheap.
know what I mean?
It's cheap and lazy the way they did it.
But it's like everyone's getting, there's like the right wing that's like, get woke, go broke. We're pissed that you're making, black female gay leads. It's like, that's not the point of that.
If the story and characters are good, it shouldn't
That's what I'm saying.
matter.
Like, that's not the fucking point
I
of that.
always-
Just don't shove it down my throat.
Giggity. I always harken back to Tarantino as a good example of that. Tarantino is a spastic, corny white boy who worked at a video store. He's basically me.
But he's like the biggest fucking liberal.
He's basically me if I did a lot of cocaine and lost my mind,
and
I feel
also
like. Okay?
supported Biden.
Sure, I don't... but basically, what I mean by that is Tarantino's a fucking crazy person, and yet manages to create characters for everybody. He's made great
you're right.
black characters, great female characters, great white characters, great fucking former slaves turned badass gunslinging crazy folk. Out of 2 hours, managed to make such rich and engaging characters for everyone on the fucking spectrum.
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, is just a normal movie fanatic who knows what he's doing.
Yeah.
So the argument of like, oh my god, it's a female-led movie, it's a fucking purple guy with 3 arms leading the movie. If the story is well written and hooks you in, it doesn't matter at all.
You're right.
So the way they did it with Captain Marvel was gross.
Yeah.
It was disgusting. And I'm glad this movie managed to refrain from that for the most part. But my thing is I thought, okay, so this is going to be a whammon movie, right? That's what I thought. So I thought, what could they do? They could Ghostface Taskmaster. And what I mean by that, for any non-horror fanatics, is Ghostface generally is 2 people per movie.
Right.
That's, I believe, every single one. Only one I'm unsure on is 3, because 3 sucks.
Yeah.
But every single movie has been 2 people. So I thought what they were going to do is, early on in the movie, Taskmaster would get killed. Again.
Uh-huh.
Unmask some dude. I thought it might have been the guy who was giving Scarlett Johansson his the tech.
Yeah.
And the helicopters, because he was in the trailer quite a bit, so I thought, oh.
Yeah, who the fuck was that guy?
He was just a guy.
He was this guy?
So I thought that was going to happen, and
What's
then
up,
at the end, it was going to be someone else. I thought it could even be the little stumpy man from Indiana Jones 4 with the weirdo sex pervert.
What?
the bad guy, the main bad guy.
Weinstein.
Harvey Weinstein, yes.
Okay.
There's a very big undertone of sleazy Hollywood stuff,
Yeah.
which is so wonderful to see from big corporations that clearly have known this nefarious activity has been going on for decades and decades. The casting couch and the sleazy Hollywood director or producer, that's not new.
No.
That's been a joke and like an open secret. So the fact that now it's a big deal and we can underline movies with it is delicious.
Well,
but I thought that was going to happen. But instead they did nothing. And instead it was just some girl that the weirdo sex pervert's daughter that we thought Scarlett Johansson fucking blew up in cold blood, which again, they could have made that like a very well done, like.
When was that?
I don't know.
I don't remember ever, like, they're referencing things that I didn't see, you know?
Which is fine, but, like, I don't understand.
Was it in Sokovia? Like, is that what was going on? But
like,
let's be real, the second Avengers movie is terrible, so why would we
Has anyone seen Age of Ultron since it came out? Like
I don't think so. But, like, why would we go back and watch it, you know? So I don't know. I can't reference it.
Is they could have done, even that, I feel like, in my head, I could see that working with, like, that's the grief of the movie, is, like, she was traumatized by the fact that she had to do that. And maybe that's what made her de facto from being the cold-blooded asshole. Maybe that could have been the fucking movie, is her changing herself to fucking do whatever.
So you're saying, like, even before the Avengers movies?
Yeah, fucking anything.
Yeah.
Then, she wore a white suit and did a few flips, and then everything explodes.
Oh, boy.
Ugh.
Well, and that was the other thing too. Now that we're kind of making full circle back to where where we're at, the fight scenes. If we're, still talking about Taskmaster.
If you see a big action sequence about to come up and you haven't already seen this movie, just close your eyes and wait about 5 minutes.
Just listen. Just imagine what they're doing.
Because it'll be better.
Man, but it's so like in your face fast. Like Black Widow is never that quick. In Iron Man 2 when she's taking down the guards, it's a good action scene.
It's well done.
It's a good action scene of like a minute and a half, like her bouncing around, taking a couple hits, bouncing around again. This one's just like, I'm unstoppable because I'm an Avenger now and I can block all of your things, but you're blocking all my things because you're a copycat. It's just like, okay. You just need to stop with the in-your-face action scenes and move forward from there. And I feel like we're getting a little redundant at this point, but that's where we're at. I do have a fun thing to go on as we approach almost 40 minutes.
Give me 3 things you liked. Well, I know that might be tough.
Ooh, boy. Okay, 3 things that I liked.
Because I'm sure I'm just going to parrot what you say.
Yeah, so what I did like about this is that it wasn't hokey acting in any way. It still has, like, the good Marvel, like, get your ass in character, be the person that we're writing you to be, which, some characters have changed, like Thor being one of them, from like a kind of like this robotic stinge in the first 2 to being the personable, kind of funny, haha, joke cracker in the third one, which is great. Yeah. So that's, good continuity, great. The other 2 things that I would say that I would like is set design was decent. Because, most of the aerial flippies were in the air and CGI. Got it. But the set design where we're at, so the Red Room, the house that was built, the secret place in the sky where the Red Room is, I mean, those aren't CGI, and they did a nice job putting you in the fact, with it. I feel like when we're watching Infinity War, everything was in space. You know what I mean? So it's just like green screen it all with giant planes falling out of the air. This was stuff that was built up.
Yeah.
The fight scenes were all CGI. You're not going to get anything out of that.
Bad.
But when we're in a sit down situation, like you mentioned in the house, which is one of your favorite scenes, and when we're in like the offices, kind of going back and forth, and when you're in the Red Room trying to escape with all the other things, set design was decent on that. I did like that. I'm struggling to find a third, but if I have to say one thing that I do like, because I'm a Marvel guy, is that the every now and then sprinkled parts of continuity from the timeline that we know exists. That's always nice to get a kickback. Was I expecting to see Ross in this movie? Not a fucking chance.
I had no idea he was in the movie.
he's in it, right? So
sure.
That's cool. Great continuity grasp, referencing the fucking Hulk. What was the other thing that kind of referenced the Hulk? There was one other... Oh, the the airplane at the end, the spaceship that he goes to Ragnarok with.
Is that one?
Mm-hmm. That was at the end. Well, at least I'm
Are
pretty
you sure?
No, but it looked like it.
Because she didn't have the blonde hair when that happened.
Oh. Yeah, because this is leading into Infinity War, isn't it? Oh, never mind.
He would already have been.
Scratch that fucking noise.
There it goes. All right, so you got 2 good.
I got 2 at least good that I enjoyed.
So I agree. The cast was good for what they were given.
Right.
David Harbour stole the show, as I expected. It's good.
I don't know if I like that guy or not.
I love that guy.
Like, I like him as all the characters, but in, like, an acting standpoint, isn't he kind of like a shady dude?
I have no idea.
Oh, okay.
I don't know.
Yeah, we never met him, right? So.
Not once.
Yeah.
I liked him. I'm glad he finally was able to do a superhero movie that didn't completely suck dick. Wasn't fucking gangbusters, but I'm excited and praying because I thought he was going to be easy fodder. I thought he was toast. I thought he was dead before I even went in. I fully expected them to kill him for some heroic sacrifice redemption thing. That was my thought. Glad they didn't because I would like to see more of him.
I'm sure we will.
He got shafted in Suicide Squad, fucking Hellboy.
Hellboy was bad.
Just terrible. Yeah. So I'm glad that he was able to do something that didn't completely wash away any semblance of fucking acting or because he was good. He was really good. The accents were a little shoddy here and there, but you got to appreciate a good Russian accent. They gave it their all. Even Natasha gave a few lines. Suka, whatever.
She gets the.
She throws it on.
It's
for
like
a
when
moment.
you've been around people with southern accents for a long period of time.
You
You start getting
the drawl.
Yeah.
So that was nice. It was in focus for most of it, I believe.
Jesus Christ.
It ended eventually, which was nice.
If we're reaching like this, it's a movie's not so good.
And yeah, so Vox.
Well, I don't even want to get there yet because we're not done with the discussion.
Break down whatever you can say
before we get to the ratings. So I wanted to do a little bit more on the our side of the world kind of thing, which is fun for me because
is Earth.
Yeah,
that's where we live.
Because we're getting more and more of these movies that are being split between streaming services right now, right?
I would love to discuss this.
Yeah,
yes.
So I feel like we're going to get to a point where streaming services are always going to have that pay this premium, don't have to go to the theater and watch it from your couch thing. So, big announcement from Disney Plus. This is the first movie that they ever gave the figures that the company made for the PVOD, which is Premier Access on Demand.
Well, because before you do that, it's what sucks a lot for people like us who like to analyze and discuss like box office take and whatever.
Yeah, we do. We enjoy that.
Honestly, that's more
What's
interesting
the budget?
Than the
what
movie.
Did they make?
Which, if you don't know real quick, it's the budget times 2 to account for marketing. That's the break-even point. Anyway.
Yes.
It was always easy with box office because that was public knowledge. They would give it out, whatever.
Sure.
But what sucks with streaming services in general is Netflix, Hulu, HBO. They don't give out numbers very often, especially for how much is watched. I don't know if it accounts for like watch time. I think it's just if you put it on, it's a view like YouTube.
I think it is a watch time.
I think it was only like 2 minutes, I believe, for Netflix.
But I mean,
to count it as a view,
regardless of the fact if you're sitting there watching it for 2 minutes before you make a decision.
I don't know, but
it's like a song on Spotify. In order to get a play, it's got to be 30 seconds or more.
Oh, okay.
So.
But what I mean is, it's tough because for stuff like that, there's no real way to gauge what the take is. Like, there's no way to know how many people watched the new Fear Street movie or Army of the Dead or fucking...
Sure. Unless they release those figures and what they make.
Which they hardly do now, which sucks. So it's nice that they're doing that.
But so here's the first thing. This is the first time anyone's done this, too. So we're still waiting on HBO to give figures for Mortal Kombat.
Well, because that's... what's different between that and Disney Plus is the HBO, like Space Jam came out. I don't have to pay anything since I already have HBO Max. I can just watch that.
And I have a counter to that too. We got the brand new premiering at number 2 this week is The Tomorrow War with Star-Lord himself. And
Amazon
and that's Amazon Prime, which is premiered number 2. And that's the other thing. You're paying for a subscription that gives you a huge array of things with Amazon Prime.
Amazon
right?
Prime's its own thing. Don't you get music too and all
you
this
get a
stuff?
whole bunch of stuff.
Yeah.
But that's what I'm saying with HBO. They're like, don't have to pay any premium access. Just watch what you want to watch as long as it's available on here.
HBO Max is probably my favorite streaming service right now.
I'm pretty
I
much
just
out
watched
there.
House Party, which with Kid and Play. If you've
Oh,
ever seen
yeah,
that.
yeah.
I just watched that. I just watched The Dirty Dozen. Like they got a nice spread.
Yeah, there's a great stuff.
I just watched Jackie Brown again. What fucking classic Tarantino.
Nice. So, anyways, Disney Plus came out this week and said that we have made a solid $60 million just from Disney Plus.
Just from that is quite an impressive
just
figure.
from Disney Plus, which, mind you, if you're not aware, which you should be, unless you're living under a rock, to watch Black Widow, you need to get Disney Plus Premiere, which is $30 additional for what you want to do. So
that was why Mulan bombed on there, right?
So, no one wanted to fucking pay that. But here is the big news, and this is why this is important, because this is something that has obviously been around for a while. But
can you say it like a 1920s newspaper boy?
breaking in right now.
What's the scoop, PSA?
Yeah. So we've seen this. This has been an issue for a while, but with the more access to Disney, or not to Disney streaming service, just streaming services in general, especially when it comes down to sharing passwords, sharing accounts, this has dropped significantly. But can you tell me what the big spike is this week? Ready? Torrenting.
Well, that's never gonna.
But it's been
go
decreased.
away.
It's been decreased since Game of Thrones ended. The amount of movies and TV shows that have been torrented, according to the fancy pants people in the interweb world, it's been down. Torrent Freak has said that their traffic has been not a lot, but slightly reducing since the end of Game of Thrones, because Game of Thrones was the most
torrented show of all time.
Right? But now, after the premiere of Black Widow, it has now become the number one most torrented movie on Torrent Freak's weekly list. And it tends to happen, obviously. This is an article from Business Insider. We got Matthew Baloney, literally.
Thanks, Baloney.
Who is an entertainment journalist, saying that this tends to happen.
He's getting to the meat of the situation.
Yeah, this tends to happen when, and this is a quote, when pristine copies of a movie is made available online for the studios. You get screen capture programs. You have easily accessed
which I know nothing
programs.
of this. I've never done that.
I didn't think you'd be that kind of person.
I would never, because I believe that big business is the way to go, and you should always bow down to the corporate overlords and pay $75,000 a month on 25 different services.
I would never
even know how to get to that stuff.
Me either. I've never done that before.
I wouldn't dream of it.
Another analyst, his name is Rich Greenfield, said on Thursday that
that sounds fake. That sounds like a fake name.
Right? Piracy is now the dark side of leveraging technology to distribute the content that is being created.
Thanks, Rich.
And as Baloney noted earlier, though, that Warner Brothers movies this year has also facing piracy issues because of their premieres that are being easily accessed from
absolutely.
HBO
Once
Max.
One person can get the file,
it's out there.
It's out there.
It's out there. Mortal Kombat was the most in demand, in quotations, movie for a lot of people,
which
as we know.
I actually saw twice in the movie
in
theater,
the theaters,
so
right?
you're welcome.
And the movie apparently had nearly 20 million unlicensed streams and downloads globally when it released in April, which is pretty impressive for a movie that we didn't think was going to go very far.
I did not expect it.
You know, and it's difficult to gauge, obviously, the impact of how piracy has on moving streaming services.
There's no real way to define or calculate
the box
that.
office numbers. But Black Widow opened with the pandemic best of $80 million domestic in the box office and has surpassed $200 million globally. And it's only been out for, less than a week? So that's pretty impressive. Right now, the drastic drop in the views happened after Friday, which is going to continue to go down because the Marvel hype's over and there's nothing else going on.
And Space Jam is coming out.
Yeah, but
I saw today someone posted on Twitter. Oh, Jesus! The fucking headphones fell off.
Throw your headphones off.
They showed the ticket thing that you buy the tickets for early. Yeah. The Space Jam theater was sold out and no one was seeing Black Widow. So not what I expected.
Interesting.
So we're
gonna go see Space Jam.
I want to because
Yeah.
it's going to be.
Let's go see Space Jam. We'll do another one.
madness.
We are currently, before we give the ratings here, we're currently working on a big project for the fall.
That's why content is scarce.
That's why the content is not happening currently. But we had to record this, and obviously I'm a big Space Jam person. I loved Space Jam growing up, so we'll go see that too. Here on Pick It and Flick It, we like to do this fancy thing that's called picking a movie or flicking a movie, which is either a good or a bad thing. And then just to narrow it all down, we give you a 1 out of 10, so you can go fuck yourself after that. All right, Luke. I'm really excited to hear your 1 out of 10.
Well, here's what we're gonna do.
score.
We're gonna do an unprecedented move here in the history of the Pick It and Flick It podcast.
Okay.
I'm gonna give this movie a big out of 10. I can't put a number on it.
Come on, no number at all.
Nothing.
Would you pick it or flick it? The big sigh.
Yeah. Do you mean
Would you say you
would I
should go
watch it again,
No.
or would I say go see it?
When you say pick it, this is a movie that you should go see.
I'd flick it.
Okay, me too. I'm
Yeah.
flicking this thing right out the window.
Yep.
And I do have a number for it. I thought long and hard on it, and it's going to be my lowest rated Marvel movie of all time.
Wow.
It's a 4 out of 10 from me.
Oh wow, that's okay.
Yeah,
my
it's a-
lowest I think is like a 2, and I think it's like Thor because fucking whatever.
Yeah. Nope. It's a 4 out of 10 for me.
Yeah, I got on my letterbox. You can go follow me, Confused Reviews. You can follow my man Baseman Bo as well.
Hey.
I'll put it up there once it's probably gonna be like a 4 or 5. I don't know. I have a list of like the Marvel rank, which changes a ton.
Right.
So it'll be on there if you want to go look. If you made it this far,
That's the thing.
go fuck yourself. Talk to you next time.
There's a funny little thing called listening, and you gotta do it in order to get this far. You gotta do it.
Fuck.